and Brown family. What's going on? It's Yvette Carnell coming to you live every Monday and Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I just want to take the moment, like I always do, to give you all a moment to get yourself situated. Do whatever you have to do to get yourself ready to listen to the show. As always, get your libations. Put your libations close to you. As always, Irony is messing with the microphone. It's a little bit too close now. As always. And we're going to have a conversation. We're going to have a conversation today. But before I do that, I always have to do some housekeeping. And today is no different. Those of you who are not new here already know that you have to, or I would appreciate it very much if you would subscribe. I would also appreciate it very much if you would hit the little notifications button right there. So that when I'm on, you'll know that I'm on by hitting the notifications button and all that good stuff. So that, you know, you don't have to worry about anything and, you know, all of that good stuff. So I want everybody, if you're new here also, even if you've been here before and you don't know how to help the show, you can go to breakingbrown.com. There you can make a one-time donation or a monthly donation to the show. You can also go to donatebrown.com. That's donatebrown.com and make a one-time donation to the show. You can also go, please also go to subscribetobrown.com. Subscribetobrown.com, because at subscribetobrown.com, you can also be added to the mailing list. And I always want to do that because I don't know what might happen from one day to the next. I have no crystal ball, so I don't know. So I would really appreciate it if you could do that. So you could just be added to the mailing list. There's no cost associated with that. Also, what you can also do is when you go to breakingbrown.com, you can subscribe to the newsletter. The newsletter is just links that I find are helpful in terms of having an African-American, descendants of slaves, political education. Right. Links that I think are pertinent to us.
Political education is very important because if you don't have a political education, you don't know what you're doing.
So, yeah, and we're going to talk about a little bit about that. And I think I'm going to talk about, we both have something we want to talk about. And who knows, the show might be a little shorter today. You know, I've had a lot of complaints about, well, I watched the show if it was too long. It wasn't so long. I don't have a attention span. I'm going to address a little bit of that too. But I'm going to address your attention span because that's a problem as well. But one thing, I want to talk about something that, you know, I didn't want to broach this subject because every time I broach this subject, I just kind of get roasted. You know, I love football, and I, you know, as a person who has enjoyed football before, you know, who has watched Super Bowls and playoffs and all that stuff, it kind of, you know, got to me that I felt like I can't do this anymore. And it really hit me a few weeks ago. I was at my mom's house because I remember I told you I was going to be out because she had minor surgery or whatever. I was going to be there. So I was there and I was working out. And I went for a run. And I saw these little black boys on the corner of the street with their moms and dads wearing cleats and helmets, trying to raise money for their little football league. And I remember a day when I've given money and said, oh, that's great. They're going to be involved in an activity. That's good.
All activities are good, right?
All activities are allegedly good. And so that's kind of what I have fallen into. You know, one of the things I do on this show that a lot of people don't do, I tell you about my mistakes. I tell you a lot of mistakes. And that's what I was just like, these black boys are getting into, and they're not getting into trouble, they're getting into football instead. And that's better than nothing. And
why you gotta hate on these boys? Why you gotta hate on these boys trying to do something with their lives? Yeah,
except they're not.
Okay.
Except what we're talking about here is like broken bodies. And we have to talk about results. We can't just talk about, well, this is what happens while they're in high school. Or this is what happens while they're in whatever you call elementary football. You have to talk about the physical and mental consequences of that sport. Not only in high school, if you make it to college and if you make it to pro. And the consequences, not only are there, you know, I like to frame things before I get totally started. But I'm going to talk about the not only the physical consequences and the consequence to the black family, but there are also political consequences that it seems to me nobody has considered. So what I want to do is kind of, in terms of black life, black family life, and especially black male life too, make a case against football. And you're free to call in and challenge me on that. I don't ever just cut off people because I disagree with them. Let's be concise in our comments when we call in and get to the point so that other people can call in as well. But this is just something for me that has become problematic for a number of reasons. And, it's actually even more than just problematic. It's become, I felt sort of pained when I saw those boys asking for money to go out there and do what I consider break each other's bodies. Like, that's what they're doing. And there's a certain viciousness to it. And I appreciate, I want you to know that I do appreciate Colin Kaepernick. I do. I appreciate the stand that he has taken, right? But we have to understand that not everybody is Kaepernick. And what I'll get to in a moment is most of these guys are not Kaepernick. Because they understand the sacrifice of becoming that person. And they understand what that means. So when I see people saying something to the extent of, well, we have to boycott football. And put up clips 1, 2, and 3, Army, just back to back. If we have to boycott football because of Kaepernick, Kaepernick hasn't gotten, apparently he's close to a deal or something. I don't know. I don't keep up with whether or not he's gotten a deal. But somebody said he was going to be signed by the Dolphins, whatever. I heard a lot of chatter about maybe he might be getting a deal. But my thing is, I agree that the reason he's being shut out is because he took a stand for black people. Like we said before, if you're unapologetically black and you take a stand for black people, then what happens is that you get shut out because you're not allowed in America to take a stand unapologetically for black people. And that's understood by African Americans who make it to a certain level. So I get it. And I support Kaepernick. But I'm wondering, as I'm thinking about this, I'm wondering if we are not having the wrong conversation.
Okay.
I'm wondering if the conversation we shouldn't be having is whether or not we leave football alone as black people.
We just give it up like we give it up lacrosse?
Yes, because the question is, how are we benefiting? The question is, that's a stupid little sport. The question is, how are we benefiting as a community? How are we benefiting from football? Because I want to give you, in a few minutes I'm going to give you, because I don't like to just spout stuff. I like to give you data. I like to give you statistics. And something to ground yourself, something to ground myself in. But the question that I have, everything you do, you have to analyze it and say, what is the cost? And I'm not talking about just financial, that's part of it. What is the cost, though, to the body? What is the cost, though, to these players? What is the cost to the little kids who view this as their only way to get out?
Yeah.
And what is the cost to our politics? If that's how they see their only way to get out. And so you have this boycott, and we're boycotting for Kaepernick. But my thing is, why don't we boycott forever for all black boys? Right? And black families. Because because that's what you see. And you see these black women, these black wives who were married to NFL players who are saying, I don't know where my husband went. I had a good husband and now he's irritable. I had a loving husband and now he's abusive and now he hits me. And that never happened before football. So what I'm seeing is a destruction not only of that man, but that family and everything that goes with it. And I'm wondering, when will we decide that cost is too much to bear? And like I said, the conversation, it's about who we are and who we want to be and where we're going. And I don't know, and you can always correct me, but I don't know if we can go there with football. Put up clip number 4 for me, Army. That, Antonio, and I told you a lot of videos. Antonio Moore of Tone Talks. Go subscribe to Tone Talks. He did an article for Vice in 2015, which, football's war on the minds of black men. And there are some good statistics in there. And one of them is 70% of the players are black men. Now, hold on. Black men only account for 6% of the population. 70% of the players, those football players, are black men, And they only account for 6% of the population. So those people that you see on TV every Sunday or Saturday if it's college, or Friday if you're watching high school football, you know, those we just talked about the NFL, but we're seeing this trend throughout in terms of these are beginning to be mostly black men who are breaking their bodies.
We should be dentists and architects and stuff.
Well, we should be something that doesn't break our bodies. Yeah. Like black men should be able to be something to where they don't have to crunch and their bones crunch. And you have the body when you retire, and nobody knows when you're going to retire. People say, "Oh, he makes $1 million." There are a lot of NFL players who make 6 figures and are going to have broken bodies and broken brains after only 2 years in the league.
And the league's hard. It doesn't have a very good contract.
And they were in college. They were in college and high school and other ball before the league. So they're taking a lot of hits before that. Yeah. They're taking hits before the league. Yeah. They've had concussions probably before the league. Okay?
And you just get cut in the league. You just get cut in the league.
Yeah, ain't nobody worried about you.
Yeah, there's no 15-day disabled list or like, no, they can just cut you.
Listen, there's a see if you see that link to that Gladwell article. That in 2009, Malcolm Gladwell wrote an article, and he basically compared football to dogfight.
Oh.
In the sense of you just come in there, get your body broken, and in this sense that, you know, people cheer or whatever, and you know it's funny because Michael Vick got in trouble for dogfighting. But I would argue that the owners of the league are doing the same thing, except they're not using dogs, they're using black men. And I think that's what Gladwell was arguing as well. Who are you to tell somebody not to dog fight when that's what you're doing? In that article, there's a point where it says basically, listen, for black men, for people who are playing football, they measured the hits to the head. They used something to measure the hits to the head. And it's like hitting your head into a windshield in a car accident. That's what you're dealing with. And that creates scarring of the brain, which creates a degenerative brain disease called CTE. Okay? Now, CTE it's like Alzheimer's or dementia or something. You're not going to live to be old and to be healthy and to rock your grandkids on your lap. You're going to, you know, if you read that article, and please just check out the article. Because he talks about, you know, there's a man there who talks about going to funerals with football players. And I've had football players came up to me, he said, they can't find their way home. They don't know how they got there. Because they've been knocking their heads up against other helmets and the ground and the turf and everything. Somebody else said, you know, sometimes you get hit so much you get cross-eyed. And it's a few plays before you get uncross-eyed. And so I just had to, because I was seeing 3 people come through the middle, I just had to go at all of them. Because I couldn't see. And there's a difference between when you're hurt and injured. Injured means you got to go out the game. Most of the time, they just say you're hurt. So they give you something or squeeze you something or whatever and put you back out there. Because this is how the game is played. And so they use you up and throw you out. And there's a consequence, not just a consequence to your body. You know, if you look at it, it's not just a consequence to your specific body. It's a consequence to your community as well. There is a cost associated with the sport. And you see that, you know, increasingly, not that now it affects everybody, white, black, or whatever. But I told you the numbers of the amount of black men in the league. And white men are more often quarterbacks, and quarterbacks do get concussions, I know that. And kickers and punchers and whatnot. Increasingly, the people doing those are black men. The people breaking their bodies on their field, those are black men. And so what I'm asking you, and I really, really, really want to hear this. I'm not going to go on too long because I really want to hear from you. I'm really trying to figure out I'm really trying to figure out where we go from here in terms of football, because I think it's a problem. And let me just read to you part of this Gladwell article so you understand. He says, he's talking to a football player, and the football player says, I remember every season multiple occasions where I'd hit someone so hard that my eyes went cross-eyed, and they wouldn't come uncrossed for a full series of plays. You were just out there trying to hit the guy in the middle because there are 3 of them. You don't remember much. There are the cases where you hit a guy and you get into a collision where everything goes off. You're dazed. And there are others where you are involved in a big long drive. You start on your own 5-yard line and drive all the way down the field, 15, 18 plays in a row sometimes. Every play, collision, collision, collision. By the time you get to the other end of the field, you're seeing spots. You feel like you are going to black out. Literally, these white explosions, boom, boom, boom. Lights getting dimmer and brighter, dimmer and brighter. Then there are the times when I get knocked unconscious. That was in St. Louis in 2003. My wife said that I was out a minute or 2 on the field, but I was gone for about 4 hours after that. It was the last play of the 3rd quarter. We were playing the Packers. I got hit in the back of the head. I saw it on film a little while afterward. I was running downfield, made a block on a guy. We fell to the ground. A guy was chasing the play, a little guy, a defensive back, and he jumped over me as I was coming up, and he kneed me right in the back of the head. Boom. That's your life. Do you know that your brain has the consistency of butter? It can't take a lot. It can't take a lot. It's not even like a quadricep. It's not even like a hamstring or a deltoid. It can't take a lot. And so when you look at that, when you look at what he says, I don't think anybody who cares about our community and our men can say anything except, for me, football is a problem. Put up clip number 7 for me, Ari. That was a Ravens player who recently decided, you know what? I can't do it no more. And he didn't say that, but he did that right after the published.
I looked at the data and I bounced.
Yeah, I looked. It was right after a study. Now I want you to hear me. If you don't hear anything else I say,
I looked at the data.
It was a study that showed of the 111 NFL brains that were looked at, 110 had CTE, had degenerative brain damage from trauma. It's called 110 brains. Look it up. 110 NFL brains. You can look it up and check it out and read it. It's an informative study. Okay? Out of 111, 110 had that trauma. What does that tell you about what the NFL promised for your husband or your spouse or your son or your brother? What does that tell you about the consequences of banging your head and banging your head and banging your head? It's like getting into a car crash every weekend. Every Sunday you go get into a few car crashes. That's what happens on that field. You tell me how much that's worth. Because from where I sit, I just can't see it. And put up the next clip, Army, after NFL. Put up clip 8. And then 9. It breaks down. This study right here, it breaks down. For all of us, it breaks down like, okay, these are the numbers. Look at them. You got running backs up there, defensive back, you got everybody. These people got brain injuries. They're going to have Alzheimer's. It's going to look like it's going to be dementia. They're going to be irritable. They're going to be violent. They're going to have lives because of their time on the field. And you can read what it says. It says CTE raises a myriad of symptoms, including memory loss, confusion, depression, dementia. The problems can arise years after the blows to the head have been stopped. The brains here. You changed that?
No, that's good.
I can't see it. So I can't see it no more. So check that article out. And scroll up a little bit so I can see the bottom. After lineman. Yeah, scroll up that way so I can see the bottom. You know, the brains the brains here are from players who died as young as 23 and as old as 89. Think about that. You have a player, people say, well, you just got to get out. It's because black people like to come up with all kind of excuses. Well, you just got to get out the league early. That's all. He just stayed in too long. No, they got somebody 23 that had this, and somebody 89. You can get out the league. You can get out the league and be done with football. You can just get a college scholarship and you still be messed up. They had one who was a teenager. I mean, the Gladwalk one was like 18 and had it.
I mean, you're getting hit since Pee Wee.
Yeah, you get hit since little boy football. And that's a problem. It says and they are from every position on the field. Quarterbacks, running backs, and linebackers, and even place kickers and punters. Now, of course, these other people, other than place kickers, punters, and don't have it as much as others. But you risking the life, the only life that I know that you have by doing this. And I'm asking myself, why are African Americans so invested in football? And before you say you're not, I see you. I see you. This is not a secret of some kind. I go out and I see you. I don't live in a hole. I go to bars and everything. I see you. And you tell me, and this is what I'm gonna get to. This is part I'm gonna get to right here. You tell me, well, Yvette, I can't watch nothing for an hour and a half on YouTube. You should just make a 15-minute video. But you'll watch a football game. You'll watch college football. You'll watch on Sunday. You might watch 2 games on Sunday. You have a whole package on your DirecTV that's just football. But you don't have time for black politics. Yeah, I'm going to get on the men today. I can get on the women when we start talking about Real Housewives of Atlanta and everything. You can watch, but you can't watch politics. But yeah, you can watch stuff you want to watch. You can watch stuff that breaks black bodies, but you can't watch stuff that actually helps us have a political conversation and move to a different space. And you think you are making a contribution. How? You think you're doing something good. How? By putting your little boy on that field? We are allowing, I know this is kind of very somber conversation for me, but we are allowing not only to break these bodies of these young men and these boys, but then to have them used for social engineering. So what do you have, Yvette? Well, you have parents who decide, I'm going to use my kid as a lotto ticket. I'm not going to get involved in black politics and do what's best for my kid and make sure that I pave the way for my child. I'm not going to do that. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put him in football or basketball or whatever I can put him in and hope that he'll be one of the ones that make it. So instead of investing in politics, instead of going to town hall meetings, instead of going to school board meetings and all of this stuff, I got a kid, but I'm not going to do that. I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to put him in football and I'm going to support him and hope that he becomes one of the ones who make it so he can buy mama a house. So he can buy daddy a house. I've said this before on this show, but I'm going to say it again. Your kid is not your lottery ticket. Your job as a parent is to protect that kid. That is your job. Your job is not to put them in a position where they're more than likely going to suffer degenerative brain damage. That's not your job. And if you think that's your job, you're doing your job wrong. And don't tell me, well, if you don't have kids, you don't know. I know I wouldn't put my kid out there to get his body broke. For what? And then he's going to go to college, he's going to even get paid. And he probably won't make it pro. And I'm going to put it all on him because, well, you never know. You never know. I might hit it big. That little Negro might be fast. Or he might be strong.
Got a lucky seed.
I got a lucky seed. I'm going to put it all on him because mama need a new car. Dad need a Harley or some stuff. He need a new motorcycle. Let's go on out here and get it. Come on, boy.
Is it different than stocks?
Well, stocks don't break your body; they break your bank.
Yeah, okay. Break your kid's body.
You cannot recover from this degenerative brain disease. Yeah. I'm not gonna tell you again that your brain has the consistency of butter. I want you to go right into the refrigerator and take out your butter, and I want you to look at your butter and say, "That's my brain." Now I want you to throw that butter up against the windshield and see what happens.
No, leave the butter out for a while.
Yeah, leave the butter and watch it melt.
Yeah.
And I want you to think about what that means to your brain and what you're doing to your brain by having it clacking and clacking up against other helmets and clacking up against the turf and clacking for years and years and years, and you can't do nothing about it and the league don't care about you. I want you to think about that. And I want you to think about something else. Why are we thinking, Iron Man? I want you to think about something else. most of these football players, Colin Kaepernick is actually an anomaly.
Yes.
The league breaks most of these football players. They don't do nothing for us. They break these football players. What about your boy? Let's talk about your boy. Remember your boy Cam Newton?
He's a smiling, happy Negro. What's wrong with Cam Newton?
What did he say?
Oh.
He said that, America's kind of moved beyond racism and, my family's all right and I got nice clothes and pointy shoes and I don't know what you're talking about.
Good teeth.
Good teeth?
And that's funny because
veneers. He got some. What's he got?
No, he's got great teeth. Okay. However, that's important because black people get disproportionately poor dental care.
Yeah. But he got nice teeth.
But Cam Newton's got nice teeth, so we all right.
It was the most confused. I remember when he said it was the most confused statement I ever heard. Well, America is, beyond racism, and I don't see, and I don't know, Kaepernick. I don't know what he had to come back and try to revise it because it was BS. But let me just say, he's not the only one. I saw your boy Jerry Rice.
Oh no, you're going after elders now.
Wide receiver extraordinaire, catching them Montana catches and stuff. I saw him.
Question. Why is Jerry Rice doing this? He's not in the league anymore. What's he worried about?
No, it's social engineering. I gotta say this.
Oh well, no, he's working for that after work.
Yeah, he's working for that after work.
Some of that color commentary money.
You can't come on here. You can't come out here and be no Black Lives Matter stuff and these white people paying you. You can't do that. It ain't gonna work. And then you gotta say what you gotta say. Jerry Rice has always known how to be docile.
Yes.
He's always know how to say what he gotta say. He's the most soft. He's aggressive on the field. He's so soft spoken when you. Yes. Well, actually, I thought, and I went down the field. And da 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 da. Man.
Well, no, he's looking for that afterwork. Some of that color commentary money.
He want to keep it coming. People love him. He came out here. All lives matter. And Kaepernick should respect the flag until it backfired on him, and then he came back and said something else. But what I'm trying to tell you, you can put up the Vic one too. What I'm trying to tell you is that these people gonna always break. Like the NFL is almost like a slave plantation. They break black men like it ain't no tomorrow. Like you won't say nothing.
This one's hard because we saw this in real life.
We saw this.
We saw Michael Vick get broken in real life.
Michael Vick you look at that man's hair. He got cornrows, beautiful cornrows. But he told Colin Kaepernick, cut your hair. But he basically said, listen, if you don't do what they say, they broke me, they going to break you too. So let's just skip all that other stuff.
He came in his own man, though.
Yeah, and he went out. He went out somebody else's man. Yeah. You came in your own man, you went out somebody else's man. That's what happens. And I think dog fighting is awful. But what I'm telling you is that that's something that you're going to have in a community that don't have nothing. And a community is just aggression. How do you think this man who just hits and gets hit on the field all the time, what kind of aggression do you think it takes to do that? It takes the wrong kind of aggression, the kind of aggression that would do something else and make these dogs be aggressive too so he can control something. It's a psychological aspect to that. It is what it is. And then he's basically telling you they broke me. And if you don't get your stuff together, Colin Kaepernick, they're going to break you too. That's what he's telling him. So you say you want football around so that these people can have, so that young black boys can have, role models. But how are these guys your role models?
Something to do for their time. Something to do for
their time. And they have role models. Well, these football players are no. Like, for the most part, everybody ain't Colin Kaepernick. For the most part, these guys get broken down. What was the name of the guy they didn't give the ball to?
Geez, in Seattle.
What was his name? They wouldn't give him the ball. Marshawn Lynch. They wouldn't give him the ball at the end. He's the one you get the ball to. Strongest thighs in the league. They wouldn't give him the ball. Why do you think?
Rather lose the game than give him the ball.
I ain't giving you. You're not gonna be the hero of this game because you talking too much about being black and what you ain't gonna do and you being disobedient. You will not be the hero of this Super Bowl. Could you make the score? Yes, but you're not gonna get the ball. No. They gonna break you until at a certain point you say, "Well, I guess I gotta do what they say do because they have all the money and they paying me. And if I don't, they gonna just do what they gonna do. They gonna break me." And he retired. And I go ahead, do yours. But that's what happened. So I'm wondering why we feel the need to keep this game around when all they do is they break black men and they use those broken black men to tell other black men you can do it too, when most of them can't, and even if they could, you shouldn't want to. I would not want. I would not want to be that. I would not want to be a black man. And I have I remember I met a woman who was married to an ex-NFL player. And she talked about how his body was and how he had to take all these baths and he had a hard time walking up and down steps. I thought she was talking about her granddaddy. And it's serious business, Iron. Like, I thought she was talking about her granddaddy. It was horrible. That man's living a painful life.
I have heard about 50-year-old football players walking with 2 canes. Not one.
Yeah, and it's
canes.
And it's sad. It's the saddest thing ever. And he didn't make. And let's be real. He didn't make $100 million. And then the money he get, he gotta take care of family because the whole community's poor and ain't nobody stable. So now you gotta take care of this person. You can't even be comfortable. And your body broke. And your brain probably broke. What kind of life is that? Like, can we start asking ourselves, what kind of life is this that we're requiring these men to live? Because we say, well, you can make a lot of money. I would rather you just be decent, have a good job, and be able to enjoy your life and live into old age and not forget how to get home. I would like for you to be able to go to a funeral and not forget. Well, I mean, it's serious, Iron. Like, I would like for you to go to a funeral and not be able to forget. That's some serious stuff. You ever had a parent or a grandparent or know somebody with Alzheimer's? And, like, these aren't even old people, and they can't get home. These are ex-football players, and they can't remember stuff. There was one in the Gladwell article. One of them fell out. Passed out he was in a bar and he was just sipping one beer with his wife and friends because he was driving home, and all of a sudden he's on the floor convulsing and throwing up, and they take him to the hospital, and then he's panicking. He can't control his arms and he starts shaking violently. That's in the Gladwell article. This is what these men are living through, and this is what your boy is living through if he happens to be good enough to make it into the league. Why would you do that? I don't understand why you would do that to him. You know, put up the child abuse image, Iron. You know, the guy who was in Concussion, the movie truth. Concussion.
Tell the truth.
Will Smith. You know, Will Smith played him with a horrible Nigerian accent. And he has basically come out and said that there will come a time, he said it's true now, but there will come a time where putting your kid in football is considered child abuse. That's child abuse. And I don't see any way. I mean, if you slap your child in the middle of the street, that's child abuse. But if you put your little boy on the field and have other people hit his head so hard that it's like his head crashing into a windshield, somehow that's not child abuse. You know, I don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't understand what that means. And it's not only him. Like, if you go look at the clip, nobody is refuting the fact that football leads to CTE, which is a degenerative disease. Nobody disputes it. Nobody disputes it at all. There is conclusive evidence that it leads to degenerative brain damage. And increasingly what you see some white people retreating. I don't want to do football. So eventually you're going to see poor black kids, almost that's what you see a lot of now on the field, just like you see in boxing, a lot of poor black kids boxing and thinking that's going to be the way out. They're going to be the next Floyd Mayweather. And not thinking about, like, because they don't have many options. And so for me, what we have to work on is the options. You should have enough options to where you look at being a football player and say, no, I ain't going to do that. Why would I do that? I ain't going to mess up my head. You shouldn't look at that and be like, well, I guess this is what I got to do because I ain't got nothing else. And that's what's happening to these young boys and young teenagers. They look at that and be like, well, this is my only shot. Because America hasn't given them another shot, hasn't given them another avenue to success. They say it's this or nothing. You have no job. You have no labor. You have no way out of this ghetto except maybe if you break your body enough, we'll give you a little something to take you out of here for a while. And that ain't promised.
You could get cut.
You could get cut. And you know what it means not to get cut? You have to be some of the most vicious people on the field. Yeah. If you don't want to get cut, you have to be one of the most vicious people out there on that field. That's what you have to do. And so, you know, it's time, as far as I'm concerned, it's just time to start choosing. Like, I can't put it any other way. It's time to start choosing. And people say, well, Yvette, we can do two things at one time. No, we can't. If we could, we would. We have a finite number of hours, a finite number of minutes. This is a finite planet. We have finite, everything. You don't have enough time for everything. You're going to have to start choosing what's important to you. Is what's most important to you watching football Saturday and Sunday and letting it take up your whole weekend? Is what's most important to you talking to your friends on the phone about football? Yeah, man, them Falcons going to be good. Is that what's most important to you? Is that or talking about your kid? Yeah, he gonna play at so and so high school. They got him at running back. Is that what's most important to you? Because if that's what's most important to you, we don't have a future. We don't have a future because you've decided that watching your son is the most important thing. Play football and break his body. I'm telling you that we have to decide that politics is more important than all of this, and it matters, and we have to do that. And there's no way around it. And that's what I'm telling you. So. I want to cover one more thing before we go, but I don't know how else to say it. You got to work. You just got to make sure your kid has a better life, and you got to work towards that. And the way to do that, the way to work towards that, is black politics. You can't work towards that by putting them on the field and just hoping for the best, because it don't work out. Anybody seen the video with the man with the messed up arm? He's an ex-football player, got hit, was supposed to go pro and all this stuff, and he got hit, and then he just got one limp arm. He's talking about how it was all worth it. He learned all this stuff. It wasn't worth it. Well, none of that worth you not having your arm no more to be able to play in the league. It wasn't worth it. Like, stop telling yourself, well, I'm a motivational speaker. Yeah, people feel sorry for you. It wasn't worth it. You could have had a normal life. And what we should be trying to do now is make sure black people, especially black men, can have access.
Yes.
To normal lives, have access to security, have access to stability, as opposed to hoping that one of them from our community makes it out to the NFL. That's not good enough.
And can take the whole neighborhood up. That was never a strategy that was going to work for us. Like, one person was never going to be able to lift up a whole.
And that's what we have them do. Well, you got to build me a house. You got to do. Well, I heard your contract was this. You got to do this. And, well, son, I heard you got this. I need this. And so you just end up really going crazy because everybody wants stuff. Well, you cut your family off. Like, no, we have to have stability in our communities. So, I want you to, I know some of y'all are going to call in and talk about it, but I really want the people who are pro football, call in. Let's talk about it. So, and let's talk about what you want. We're going to transition to something else that was problematic.
This is different, right? So, there's a lot of talk about Brown versus Board of Education, what it's done, what it hasn't done for black people. That's a case in 1954 that supposedly desegregated the schools, except, and I was thinking about this a while ago, they started with the wrong people. If you're going to desegregate the schools, if you're going to desegregate anything, you start with the people on top, because real power is in production. You start with the people on top. So you should desegregate the school board and then have a look at the curriculum where, like, the black administrators fight with the white board members and they figure out a curriculum. Then you desegregate administration. Then you desegregate the teachers. And then, only then, do you desegregate the students. All right. So instead, we got this backwards. We desegregated the students first. We put them in a white curriculum with white teachers who, like, by all metrics, just treat them poorly. Like, it turns out that white teachers treat black kids, especially. Who knew? I know nobody in we're carrying almost 1,500 people. I'm sure none of them ever thought that they were disproportionately punished by a white teacher.
I told y'all that a white teacher stole my milk. I said on a different episode. She was steal our milk as little black kids, and she would say that, like, I'm taking your milk as punishment because you were bad. And then to find out she was taking the milk home to her kids. But then I told my mom, I was like, she took my milk and I was thirsty because I was a greedy kid. And so I said she took my milk, and my mama went to the school and then she never took my milk again.
Your mom was a good mama.
Yes, take my baby milk.
So we got these white teachers who, like, by every statistic, don't treat black children, especially black boys, as well. And if it turns out, if these black children have 2 black teachers, by the time they get to high school, they just don't drop out as much. But we don't even let them have 2 black teachers. So we did desegregation wrong. Yeah. We did desegregation wrong. We started with the students, and we should have started with the board members, the curriculum, the administrators, and then the teachers. And then a few years later, because it turns out that when they desegregated the schools, they just got rid of teachers. They just got rid of black teachers. They're like, well, we have white teachers, and we don't want these black women.
Yeah, and you ain't good enough.
You ain't good enough. Except these were the best black America had to offer because black America was locked out of so many.
And some of them were really good.
Some of them were
like a lot of them were really decent. Like some of them had like I remember the story of one that had an advanced degree, and they were like, well, you're uppity.
Yeah.
It was like, I'm a black person with an advanced degree as a teacher, but well, like you uppity, so you can't do it.
Look,
what?
my grandfather on my mom's side was a teacher in South Carolina, and it was sad. But yeah, so these were the best black minds at work because we were locked out of so many other industries that like there were just a lot of good black elementary and high school teachers who got fired because we did integration wrong. Now I think, and this is complicated, we had to do integration because segregated schools lead to locked out job opportunities and locked out contacts and like just worse stuff later on in life.
Yeah, social capital, social capital because you don't know.
So you have to segregate. But if you're going to integrate, you do it from the top down. You do it from the top down. And so what happened?
And not with the most vulnerable, because kids are the most vulnerable, and you put them in there without putting it. You should have put the administrators in there then the teachers in there. Yeah, to make so that when you come in there, you're comfortable.
Let's be honest. Some of these lady white teachers are wolves. I'm like,
somebody just said in the comments, my white teacher was the devil.
Yeah, and I don't think he's telling a lie. No, some of these white teachers are awful because we know our colonialism and like these women used to be like slave masters' wives, and now they teach like no, like. We have too many white teachers teaching too many black kids, and it's like it's a problem. It should be it should be part of our black agenda. We need more black teachers because you know what Obama's black agenda was. Black teachers got fired. Purged.
I don't even call it fired. Purged.
Like in Chicago, like they were just like, we don't need black teachers no more. We want these 23-year-old white suburban kids.
From Teach for America.
From Teach for America. We don't need black teachers. So like
veteran black teachers. So
the integration conversation never involved teachers and administrators, and it should have started with them. And that's a problem we had. So there was another lawsuit called Brooks versus Moberly, the school district of Moberly. That's Brooks versus Moberly. Happened in 1959. Well, 12 black teachers, one of them was a superstar. Like, what are you talking about? I'm unqualified. 12 black teachers were let go because of desegregation. They were let go because the school district didn't want black teachers telling white kids what to do. So they let these teachers go. First, they asked the white parents, "Are you okay?"
Yeah, what do you think?
What do you think of this white teacher?
What do you think about being taught by the Negroes?
And so the white parents were like, "No, fire them." So they're like, "Oh, I guess we got to fire the Negroes." And so they fired all the Negro teachers, and then the teachers sued, and
as they should have.
As they should have. Well, I don't know. They lost the case in '59. We don't talk about Brooks versus Moberly. We don't talk about that as like a huge civil rights loss.
Yeah, and not just a civil rights loss. Do you understand how many teachers were just put out of work? These kids, and that was a great statistic. Like you see 30% more graduation rate or something like that. Don't quote me on that, but it's something I gotta look it up. 30% more or something like that of graduation rates increase among black kids if they have a black teacher. Yeah. If you have a black teacher. I mean, the first teacher that ever, I was lucky enough. I had one good white teacher in first grade. I had an awful white teacher in kindergarten. You know who you are. I had a good white teacher in kindergarten. I mean, in first grade. Bad white teacher in kindergarten. Good white teacher in first grade. And then I had a great black teacher in, I think it was the fourth grade. And who was basically like, you are extremely smart. And we got to do this. Like, but people don't understand how important it is to hear that, and to be able to. And a lot of times you only hear that from a black teacher. You're not gonna hear that for most of the time. You're not gonna hear that. I heard a little of that from my white first grade teacher, but most of the time you only gonna hear that from a black teacher. Right. So that's why you have them around, and they can tell when you're just playing and when you're really violent. Right. A white teacher's like, oh, he's acting out. Oh, I don't know what.
White teachers are scared of black men. Let's be honest. Like they're just scared of black men.
Take him to the office. No, he's just being silly. He's a kid. He ain't gonna hurt you. He's 7.
And black people might actually care about some of these kids that come from poor people because we're poor. So like some of these kids have poor people problems, and I think a black teacher will just be more sympathetic. Like, yeah, you have black people problems. It's okay. All my people have black people problems.
Yeah, the thing about it is, like, I remember I had a black high school math teacher, and I remember she told me something that stuck with me. Like, we were getting papers back, and I was just kind of reaching it. And she was like, "You're never going to get anywhere if you're not more aggressive. You gotta be more aggressive." And that's who I am now. Like, that stuck with me. I gotta be more aggressive. Shit, I'm gonna snatch it. But so that's, I mean, you don't realize the effect that having a black teacher
Let's be honest. And this is also from the Malcolm Gladwell came with a podcast. If you just put in Google,
we talked about it in one episode. Somebody
Malcolm Gladwell and I think Buchanan. Named Buchanan, and it'll come up. It's a great podcast. But, like, let's be honest. I was in stupid classes. Not even the gifted or regular classes. I was in dumb classes, and then I moved to the regular classes. I had all white teachers all the way up.
Just circulating you in the stupid class.
Just circulating the stupid class. Dang. So I failed 7th grade. All I do is write now. I failed 7th grade English. I had all white teachers all the way up, and nobody, I even asked. I was like, I kind of get everything that's going on. Can you just put me in the gifted classes? I was in high school. And like, no, like, I have a PhD. I can read like 4 languages. But like, I was never in the gifted classes because I was never, like, they just assumed I was dumb. I was in a white school. They just assumed I was dumb. And I'm a black guy, so like, I'm not going to say like.
Nobody, you stupid. You like a prisoner.
You got to be like a super genius.
And let me just juxtapose your situation to mine. I'm a light-skinned black woman.
Yeah. I'm a dark black man.
Yes. When I was in elementary school, I remember the first time it happened to me. It happened a few more times. I wasn't in gifted class in every class, but I was in like 3 or 4. And the first time it happened to me, the white teacher pulled me to the front of the room, and it was I was in a class with mostly black kids, right? The light-skinned black girl gets pulled up to the front room. Now I was good in class, and she is asked, "Do you think you can do good in gifted? Because I want to put you in gifted." I don't think anybody else in that class, I don't know if anybody else in that class got asked that question. I was like, yeah, I can do great. I was confident. But I'm just saying, like, I don't think.
I hit my hole. I
can do it straight line. Ma'am. Yeah. Ma'am, I never forget her name was Miss Hayes. I said, yes, Miss Hayes, I'm sure I can do well. Put me in there. And I wondered after the fact, how many black kids who were in my class got that same invitation. I was the lightest person, of course. I was the lightest person in the class. Yeah. So I wonder, after thinking about that, like, I wonder, like, what was the impact of colorism? Yeah. Or, or her thought, because she never, I don't know, I think my mom went to a PTA meeting, but I don't know if she knew my dad. I don't know if her assumption was that my dad was white or whatever. Like, I don't know how colorism played into that. And so, like, it's just at the teacher's discretion.
Yeah. People think that teachers don't have discretion. They have a huge amount of discretion.
They have power.
Honestly, like, there's so much. Like, they have so much power, and it's never good for black men. And honestly, I'm a teacher at I TA classes at UGA. Like, honestly, a lot of these girls cry their way to higher, like, white girls cry their way. They cry.
Drop a hat. Oh!
They cry their way to higher grades. And, like, I'm not going to, like, I don't want to fight that fight. I'm a black man. I don't want to fight. I don't want any crying white undergrad crying to me about a B. Like, so, like, it works. Like, I'll be honest. Like, these girls cry their way to higher grades.
Yeah, you're going to get in trouble.
Like, I don't want to, like, we got a problem. We got a problem.
Yeah, we got a problem. I agree. Here you go. We got a problem. I think.
Yes, Moberly versus Brooks versus Moberly. That's where 12 teachers tried to get their jobs back after integration and lost.
And
like, nope.
And we're doing a good job. Like, all of the kids and all the people, even the kids who grew up and everything, were like, they were doing a great job. We were getting educated. What they said was, we didn't challenge the school system because we thought our teachers weren't doing a good job. We challenged the school system because we thought they didn't have a right to tell us where to go to school. We never challenged it because of that. And what the white people did, you did what the racists did, because they're so slick. They said, okay, you want a right to go to this school. We're going to use this to purge all the black teachers out the system. It's so slick.
And that's the black mind. That's defunding the black mind.
Yeah.
These teachers were the best we had. So, like.
Yeah. So we're going to make sure if you want to go to our schools, that's fine. You're going to be educated by our teachers, and your teachers aren't going to be around anymore. How you like that? How do you feel about that?
Now, if we had the politics we should, that's what we should be talking about all the time. Yeah. Every time they talk about Brown, we're going to talk about Mobley.
And we're going to talk about how do we still get more black teachers, because when you look at Chicago, all those black teachers were purged. And you got to understand, this is not just about the teacher in the classroom that we've already discussed. It's about the community. You got people that had good government jobs who are now unemployed. What does that mean for your community if these people don't have those jobs anymore? That they've been replaced by little Teach for America people, like little D. Ray McKesson. I said it.
Now, let's be honest. Are these Teach for America people trying to teach the quality of black politics that'll win freedom?
No.
No.
No,
they don't care about self-determination or like trying to find a curriculum that meets your needs. No, they don't care about that.
I don't be bothered with you and your needs. You always talking about you and your needs. They don't want to be bothered with that. They don't care about that.
They're not going to talk about the difference between Washington and Du Bois, or like they're not going to talk about Tommy Curry's excellent new book.
Need to talk. At a certain point, we got to talk about that too. About the fact that part of the reason that these races are so crazy is because there's no education for them. Nobody tells the truth in school. Like I remember in high school having one teacher have to fight to get a very rudimentary, basic black history class, because black history wasn't integrated into regular history. Like, that's something that we got to talk about. Man, the reason that you're racist is because nobody taught you anything in school about what really happened. You get this alternative history. That's BS.
Now, you're learning some fascinating alternative history right now in the book you're reading right now.
Oh, I am reading. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't have the book with me right now.
But let me tell you.
But I am reading a black communist in the freedom struggle. The story of Harry Haywood. And please don't, well, you do Yvette a communist. Can you please, like, when you talk about these black people who did wonderful things, can you put their economic ideology aside? And I'm not saying anything bad about the economic. I'm just saying, can you just read about people who did some good stuff? You know, it is an amazing book. I am enjoying it very much. Like I said, a black communist in the freedom struggle. Talking about blacks got behind these white mobs who were shooting and shooting at black people, and they got behind them. These black men did, and shot them with machine guns. Shot the police in Chicago. I mean, isn't it an interesting read? It's a lot of stuff I never heard. I mean, I heard some of this in the book 1919, and I know that they call him the new Negro who came back from the war. He was ready to fight because he figured he wouldn't have fought in France and all that stuff, and he wasn't gonna take this stuff back home. So he did that. But you want to hear some interesting stories. Somebody says Czar Yvette. See what I mean? See how these people act up. But you need to. I mean, it's just a good read. Just talks like a regular. He's a regular person. It's not some academic. It's not highbrow where you're using a whole lot of words. Don't nobody want to look up. So if you get a chance to check it out, it's just a brother talking about what he went through and how he tried to fight for freedom for black people. Yeah. I don't care what he called himself.
Yeah, no white teachers.
He could call himself a big bird for all I care. I don't care. He did the right thing while he was on the planet, and that's enough for me.
Yeah, no white teacher's going to teach Negro with guns. By,
Somebody said, comrade Yvette. What's wrong with y'all? Why y'all act up like this?
Yeah, Robert F. Williams. Anyway, yeah, okay, so we can go to the calls if you're ready.
Yeah, let's go to the calls. Let's see what people got to say about this football. El football. That's what they call it in Mexico. El football. But it's a different kind of football. What fair? El football.
You there?
That's soccer.
Hello?
Yeah, Yvette.
Hold on 1 second.
All right.
Hold it for a minute. Hold your mule. Y'all remember that gospel song, Hold Your Mule? Said something about holding your mule. Hey, how you doing?
All right. I wanted to call you. I'm that football guy who gets NFL Sunday ticket.
Okay.
And, my son played football. He got a concussion, and last year he was gonna play again. I told him no, and we won state in track instead.
Okay.
So that was the alternate route.
Yeah.
And also, I remember you were saying about, you know, how the people at Howard, not Howard, excuse me, how people were turning the other cheek. I had a chance to get reparations from a bad teacher telling a racial joke in my son's class, and I could have sued him, and I didn't. I turned the other cheek, and that would have been my reparations. So I want to say sorry about that.
Yeah, you should have got your cut, man.
always get your money. Always, if there's a choice between getting your money and not getting your money, get your money. I don't think it would be enough.
I should have sued, and I didn't.
Yeah, I don't think it would be enough for what you owe, but money is money. And it all does what, Iron? What does all money do?
It spends.
It spends. So, thank you, brother. I'm happy, y'all. I'm happy your kid got to run track as opposed to that, because I'd rather you speed off and, run off, and that's fine. I ain't got no problem with track. So I think finding alternatives is good. If you have a kid who has an athletic gift, there's nothing wrong with finding an alternative to that.
And there's no shame in suing. Don't.
I was like, there's no shame in suing.
Dude, call my kid something. Go ahead. I'll take down the whole district. No, I'm looking for
Call
a way
him a
out.
name one time. Call him some one time. Call her some one time.
Take down the whole district. Life, mental
I read to
anguish.
school. I read to school.
Hello?
Yes.
Hey.
Oh, what's going on, everybody? This is Duncan calling from Columbia. So, what's going on, guys?
Hey, how you doing?
Oh, hey, what's going on? So, now I've been a fan of your show for quite some time now. I have a lot of respect for what you guys do, and like the data and the evidence you bring that that you sort of like debunks all of these common talking points and narratives about black people. I really respect what you guys do, but and I really agree that we should continue to fight for reparations and for like political control at the local, state, and federal level, and get our agenda passed and all that. Yes. But I was listening like a couple days ago when we were talking about how like Asian Americans they have the advantage, the socioeconomic advantage over us in terms of like they have home countries that can offer them diplomatic leverage in certain situations. So do you think that may be like a viable solution to black people in this country, or alternative solution?
What's an alternative solution?
Thinking about a home country. Trying to get a home country.
We don't got no home country though. Like no.
What about the Pan-Africans?
No, we don't got no home country. Stop. Like I said this earlier. I did a video with Antonio more early, and it'll be up. But listen, you are not going to find your freedom. And I understand. Listen, I understand why a lot of third world countries. They're third world countries because American imperialism has drained them dry, and has destabilized these countries to make them that way. But you are not going to gain your freedom by going home to a third world country. That is not how you are going to gain your freedom. Most people who say that don't even know what country they're from. Africa has like, 54 countries? It's a continent. You don't know where you're from, but talking about you going to go home to Africa. They're not looking for us to come there. We don't have nothing to bring. Our fight is here. I know a lot of people don't like to hear it. It makes people uncomfortable. But our fight is here in this country. There is no home country. This is it. And you know what? We built the richest country in the world, and we're poor, and that's a problem. I don't want to go back. Ain't nobody. You can't go back to Ghana. You can't go back to Nigeria. You can't go back nowhere and have me like, well, you got to give me my. Ain't nobody gonna do that. But we built that here. That's why a lot of them are coming here. We have to figure this out in this country, in the United States of America. That's why that's where this has to be figured out at. I'm sorry for all of y'all who just like to daydream about going back to Africa, the continent. As if like Eritrea is the same as Somalia, is the same as Kenya, is the same as Nigeria, is the same. No, these are different countries. They don't even like each other half the time. So like, you have to understand that. You have to understand that the battle is here. That's the first thing we have to do. It ain't nowhere else. There's no home country. This is it. We built the richest country in the world, and we have to fight to get our due. And even if we don't, you got to fight for it. You can't be no coward. You can't be no punk. This is how it has to happen. So ain't no other way to put it. Yep.
Hello?
What's going on in your background?
Nope.
I'm like, no, I say no too. I don't know. What was that?
All right. You're on. Hello. Hello.
Hey.
Hello.
Hello? I think they in there. Or something going on.
All right. Hope it's not us.
Oh, we had two. I don't know.
Hello.
What you doing over there, Ivan? Hello?
I'm here.
Hey.
Yeah, this Patrick from Miami.
Hey, Patrick, how you doing?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
Oh, I'm doing great. Yeah, first I want to say you guys do great work, and I love, listening to your show, taking this information in. But I have I just need some serious advice.
Okay.
Listen, I live in Florida, and my niece gets she gets free college tuition at any Florida State college.
Okay.
But for some reason, she's in Georgia getting student loans to go to school up there. And I've tried talking to her, and she just, she won't listen to me. So, I mean, what advice can you give me to get her to rethink, going to school for free in Florida, getting free tuition? She was adopted, and in Florida, adopted kids get free tuition at any state college.
Wow.
I don't understand somebody who would want to take on a burden of debt. And it's not even like Georgia has like so many more better schools than Florida.
Tell her it's not about her.
Yeah.
Because like that.
She's in University of University of Georgia downtown or something.
Hold on, which one? Ask him again. Which school?
Which one?
I think it's University of Georgia downtown. Or Georgia State.
Georgia State is downtown. It's Georgia State. Who would pay to go to Georgia State if they? I'm just saying, like, why pay to go? Like, their school. Like, why put that burden on you? Like, why put a burden of debt? Georgia State ain't no great school. I mean, it's okay. It's
not
fine.
on you. It's on the family. It's on your house.
I never thought about it until I was listening to your show, and when you guys were saying about like college debt and how the black women are worth negative 11,000 or something, even with a degree. And I was trying to explain that to her, and she just was like, "Oh yeah, I'll think about it." And it's crazy to me. I'm like, you get free.
But you know what?
I don't understand that she getting.
She thinks she white. Like that's the only thing I can say. She thinks she's white. Like you think that you get to go and go travel and do whatever you want to do because other people do that. White people do that. You don't get to do that. You don't know what the future holds for you. The last thing you need is to have a bunch of debt on your back, especially when it's not even like you got the choice to go to Harvard or Stanford with your top tier schools and with your Ivy League schools. You said, well, this Ivy League school might look good on my resume, so I'm gonna take on some debt just to have the Ivy League. Georgia State ain't no different than half the schools in Florida. You could have went to Florida State and it's the same thing. So it doesn't make any sense. You just want to be away from home, but you can do that later on.
What happened was, cause my mom adopted them, and so, but they moved to Georgia, and for her high school years, but they were originally down here in Florida, but they can go to school up to 27 for free as an adopted child in the state of Florida.
She just want to be away from home,
and I don't know why she's not really away from home.
Well, she's in. I mean, where are you living?
I'm in Florida, but I'm in Miami, but she lived in Georgia.
Yeah.
And she went to school up there, high school up there.
Well, maybe she wants to be close to home. Like, either way, this is about comfort. This is about comfort for her, and she needs to get out of her comfort zone. You have to get out of your comfort zone and stop doing everything that you feel like you want to do and do what you have to do. This is about her right now, even as a student, becoming a grown woman. And becoming a grown woman means you get out of your comfort zone and do what's best for you in terms of your future, in terms of what's most comfortable for you right now. And that's what you need to tell her. Thanks, caller. I appreciate it.
Hello?
Hello.
Hey.
Hi. This is Tanya out in LA in California.
Hey, Tanya.
Hey, Tanya.
And hi. I wanted to, first of all, I didn't intend to address that last caller, but I can totally relate to a little bit of what his niece is going through. I went through a similar thing when I first started college, and it was just like you said, she just wanted to get away from home. I just wanted to get away from home. So my freshman year, went to a private university out here in California that was way expensive, and my family couldn't afford to send me there. So I started taking out student loans, and then my sophomore year, I wound up transferring to Howard, where I got full academic tuition scholarship throughout the rest of my college career by the time I got to Howard. So I wanted to talk about what you guys are addressing about the education, because I worked as a teacher in the public school system out here in LA, and I also attended public schools out here. And throughout the course of my, education, you know, I got encouragement from white teachers as well as black teachers, but the main source of encouragement, and it's funny because I was thinking about this just the other day, in the 7th grade, there was a black counselor. I was part of the busing system. I went to school out here in LA like in the 70s and 80s. I graduated in 85 from high school. So I was a part of the busing system out here in LA. I lived in LA. I was bused out to the Valley. You know, so me and all my black friends, we were bused out to the Valley. And I got to 7th grade thinking, oh, this is going to be really cool. We'll be able to take all these cool home economic classes. And so me and my friends, we all signed up for our classes together in junior high school. And then I got a summons to the counselor's office. And this black counselor, her name was Mrs. Carter. So I walked into Mrs. Carter's office, and she said to me, Tonya, here is your new, she talked real, you know, like, she was a real bourgeois black woman. She said, Tonya, here is your new class schedule. And I said, what do you mean my new class schedule, Mrs. Carter? I already have my classes. She says, no, Tonya, you're gifted. Oh. And so she changed my whole class schedule and put me in classes with all these white people. It was like me and all these white people. And all these science classes and math classes. And you know, it was kind of nerve-wracking or traumatic for me initially. Yeah. And, you know, because like at recess and lunch, when I go out and hang out with my black friends that I was plugged in with, they was like, girl, what's wrong with you? How come you not going to home economics with us? And I would say, well, Mrs. Carter said I'm gifted. So she changed my schedule. They were like, what you mean you gifted? What, you know what I mean? So I was dealing with that with them. Yeah. And then I would go to class, and all these white people were looking at me like, what is she doing here? What you doing here? So I literally had to figure out how to, you know, live in both worlds. But the one thing that I will say is because of what Mrs. Carter did for me throughout the course of my career, and again, I'm in LA, so, you know, I grew up around a lot of really liberal, hippie white people, and they encouraged me. They would point out to me in the class, we would take tests, and the teachers would point out, you know, the only person who got an A on this exam, Latonia. They would point out to the fact that, you know, how smart I was and that there was a reason why I was there. Wow. So when that happened throughout my whole junior high as well as high school, I had several white teachers who, you know, would just literally call me out in front of the class and praise me for, you know, for my work, my level of intelligence and the work that I did, and not only competed with the white kids, but in many cases excelled. Yeah. You know, but it was Mrs. Carter, the black counselor. Okay, now that you know that helped you, that put you in that space. Put me in that situation. Now let me ask you, how did that help you? Like being in those classes, being in those gifted classes, and what she did for you. How did that help set you up later in life? Well, it gave me the confidence to know that, you know, and it's funny because somebody recently said to me, you know, one of the things I noticed about you is you're kind of a free spirit. It's like just based on the things that I've done in my life, and I was just sharing a few things with them. It was like, I can tell that in your mind, there's not a lot of I can't. You know, I don't have a lot of conversations in my mind that say I can't because of what the situations where I've been placed in, and, you know, I was forced to rise to the occasion. So that's what you then answered in response to your question. It built up a sense of confidence in me that, like, okay, maybe my home life or whatever is different from most of these kids I'm in class with, but it doesn't mean that I can't be just as good as them, or that I'm not as intelligent as them. So it definitely set me up to be able to maneuver in life and to do various things. Okay. You know, there's another. Go ahead. No, okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate you calling in and sharing it. I appreciate that. Thank you, Tanya. Okay. Yeah, y'all debating about that, boy. Y'all in the comment section gone about that. Somebody said y'all in the comment section gone about that. Ooh-wee. I gotta read that later. Anyway,
Let's go. I mean, I appreciate that happened to her. I just hope that she understands and everybody understands that that's not how it happens most of the time. Yeah. And like how you think about like what you can and cannot do. You know, a lot of people didn't get that. And even if you get that, sometimes you still can't do it. Yeah. And you still get roadblocks. So I just hope that's something that we keep in mind as well. The roadblocks are real and they're thrown in front of you for very real reasons. Okay. So I just want, but I mean, I'm happy that she got that from that teacher, and you need that. You need a teacher that does that for you.
Yeah. All right, keep it moving.
Yep. Hello? Hello.
Hello? Oh, hold on.
You got anybody over there?
Yeah, it is. The program's locking up a little bit.
Just be sticking up on us all the time. Can't hear nothing.
They should be here. Yo, what's up? Hello?
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 Yes.
Hello, hey.
Hi, Yvette. My name is Liz. I'm from New York.
Okay. Hey.
Hey. I'm a new listener. I actually wanted to hear your opinions on two issues I found with the school system. One is I've been hearing from a lot of like Black parents that their kids are like automatically being labeled as autistic for random things like not being able to draw inside of a colored line. I mean, a solid line or something like that. Like something like really small and minuscule. Like it's happening a lot here in New York City with a lot of kids, and a lot of kids are like, we want to send our kids to different schools elsewhere because they're pigeonholing these children.
Yeah.
And another issue that I wanted to know your opinion about is I used to actually volunteer at an after-school program in Harlem, and I noticed that the level to where they're teaching these children in the schools, they're not really at the same levels in other neighborhoods, but they're testing them at the same standard as kids in certain areas.
Okay.
So I wanted to know your opinion on the fact that it seems like they set the children up to basically fail by giving them a bad curriculum and then testing them on the same standards as they would other children.
I mean, of course. Yeah. I mean, the thing is, as a Black person, there's so many traps. And the thing is, the only way you kind of avoid the trap, or you work to avoid the trap, you still don't always avoid them, is by being involved. If you unless you're in a charter school, you don't have any control. But if you still have a school board, you have some kind of control in terms of what happens, who gets elected, what you can say, what you can do. And it's obvious to me, it's been obvious to me for a long time, since I was in school, that they were trying to, shepherd some kids, Black kids, into this space where, they didn't have, they were seen as, not smart enough or whatever. And when you're seen as that early on, you get veered into these classes, which, ain't no college going to accept you. Not a good college. And so, I mean, I think the only way that this changes is if Black parents start to get involved and heavily involved. That's the only way. None of this, and if you're at a charter school, you're probably screwed. Charter schools don't have any accountability. People like Roland Martin go around, what's your problem with charter? Because you don't have no accountability, Roland. You don't have no say so, Roland. It's just about these people who do the charter school and put it up making money, Roland. So like I need to be in a space. I don't like any kind of, let me tell you something. Anything that puts you, it puts you at the whim of an unelected official is a problem. You want to have an elected official headed up with the school board chair or whatever, so that you can be accountable and say, you know what, I'm gonna go support your opponent over this BS you just did. You don't want to be anywhere else, and you have to get involved. You have to get involved day in and day out, and it's a project. It ain't nothing that's easy. You have kids, but that's what you did. You decide to have a kid or whatever, and it's going to be a project. You're going to have to be at that school and be at somebody, and you might have to go get other parents to be with you, and it's going to be hard. But that's what raising a Black kid in America looks like now. So that's all I can say. So thank you for your call, Carla. I appreciate it. Anybody want to talk about football?
Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Hello? Can
Yes,
you hear me?
I can hear you just fine. How you doing? Where you calling from?
Lady Scott, I'm calling from Kansas City, Missouri.
Oh.
I have 3 quick points, and I'm going to try to hurry up and get to it before Ira cut me off.
Okay.
First thing, I'm a big fan of the show.
Thank you.
Through Boris Watkins, and I enjoy watching you, Sunday at the TV studios, Antonio Moore, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. One of my big points I wanted to make is I know you notice how sometimes, I was born Christian, raised Christian, and I notice sometimes how the church has become less active in our community, which I feel like has a big reason why we're in the position we're in now. That's neither here nor there. And another question I had, or the main question I wanted to pose towards you in irony, is watching every Monday and Wednesday and trying to explain this to my family is just very difficult. And I'm thinking it's because the facts are so raw. But do you have any advice on how I could get them to get more involved in black politics?
I mean, let me just start with the second question first. To get them involved in black politics, I just think you have to be patient. It's gonna be a long time, and the thing is, you have to be swift. Sometimes you have to. I'm not trying to. Sometimes you got to be mean, right? Because what people want you to do, they want you to talk to them. They don't want to talk about black politics, right? They be like, I don't want to talk about that. That's depressing. But the minute they get arrested or go to jail, or they have something in their life that stems from racism, they want to talk about it. And I'd be like, oh, wait a minute. You don't want to talk about black politics when I'm talking about it. But when it affects your life, you want to talk about it. So you have to show them that this stuff you're complaining to me about is black politics. And that's why I'm telling it to you, to get you to be proactive instead of being defensive and worrying my nerves when something happens to specifically you. So you have to kind of get in the way that you train people to be involved in black politics as a community, as opposed to just being involved with them individually. Now, when somebody does something racist to you at work, or says something out of the way, then you want to talk about racism. No. But when I bring it up in a collective way, you don't want to talk about it. Well, I don't want to talk about it now. Well, what you mean you don't want to talk about it now? Well, you didn't want to talk about it when it affected all of us. I don't want to talk about it now. And do what you do. You almost have to put people in a position where you punish them if they don't talk about what needs to be talked about in terms of the community, as opposed to just them individually. I'm not going to cry a river for just you if you're not willing to talk about this collectively and talk about what we're going to do about it. That's the gauntlet that you have to put down for black people. And you have to set strict boundaries. Listen, I'm not doing this just for you. If you want to get involved and we do it for everybody and we help each other out, we can do it. If you want to do this just to help yourself out and vent and cry to me all the time, I'm not doing it. We have to do this as a collective effort. That's what I would tell them. And you can't be listening to them all the time. Like if they just want to talk to me about this happened to me and I can't believe this. Well, wait a minute. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do this individual thing with you. Right. You got to figure something else out. Okay? And in terms of the church, I don't have no problem with the church. I just don't like the pacifist interpretation of Jesus and Christianity. Right. I think, and there's a history of radicalism in the church, black radicalism, that we don't ever talk about. So I think what we have to do in terms of the church is just kind of transform it instead of this kind of pacifistic, well, all right, I just gonna forgive whoever and God gonna. No, you're supposed to be active. You have faith, but you don't have no work. Your work is suck. Yeah. Your work sucks. And so we have to tell people, listen, we got to put in work. And this is the work. When it says faith without works, this is the work. Right. The work is right here.
So there are two problems. There are two issues I've seen in the black church. A lot of pastors don't live in the community. That's a problem.
Say what?
A lot of pastors, even in Atlanta.
You mean Creflo Dollar don't live in his community?
Yeah. A lot of pastors, even here in Athens, they live in Atlanta. So if you want something concrete to do, make sure your pastor lives in your community and is not commuting in for a check.
Not commuting in, hallelujah, and go home.
Go home, take a check, and then go pay taxes somewhere else. No, you want your pastor to send his kids to your kids' schools, and you want your pastor in the community and not just being a commuting pastor. The second thing is we got to talk about this tax status.
What?
All 501c3 groups are a problem for black politics.
Uh-oh. Why is that?
Well, because even in NAA, put the NAACP in that group too. 501c3 is a tax status that says technically you can do education work, you can do charity work, you can help people out, but you cannot do partisan politics. You cannot say, don't vote for that guy, vote for this guy. This guy understands us, this woman doesn't. She's great, he's garbage.
Oh.
But we need organizations that say just that. We need organizations that say, these are the questions you ask, and if they don't answer that question, they're garbage. So we need to look at the way tax And we need to look at the way the tax status, especially this 501c3 status, affects the quality of our black institutions. Because the 501c3 status is an attractive status because you can get tax-deductible donations to your group. However, there's a price for that status, and that price is being like technically non-political. Now, white churches get around that because they figure if they get sued on this or something happens, they can sue back. Whereas black churches, whereas black churches are scared. So the Mormon church can
Mormons are so rich.
And they can tell their people, you're gonna vote this way, and if they have a problem with us telling them to vote this way, like we got enough lawyers in our people, we'll just sue them back. And same with like other groups. So
we'll stall it for so long it won't matter.
Yeah, so the 501c3 status for black churches is a form of social control to keep us apolitical. So that means we need more dues-paying organizations that don't depend on fat cats looking for a tax break. Right? So when we start these Breaking Brown chapters, we're probably going to have to start like more little dues-paying organizations that can get like $5 or $10 from every member a month to do hard politics, and that way we can make pronouncements and like proclaim and do a politics with teeth.
Politics with teeth.
Because like if you don't do a politics with teeth, you get 8.
Gotta be a piranha.
That's all.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate that. So let's go to our next one.
Hello?
Hey, how you doing? Where you calling from?
Hey, Yvette, this is Ahmad from Brooklyn, New York.
Hey!
I just wanted to let you know. I just wanted to put in my 2 cents with the whole football and Kaepernick situation. I'm glad that you're discussing it and everything. And it's been really interesting to me the whole football thing. You know, I grew up watching football. I played a little bit of football as a kid and everything like that. And I would see hints of racism, but I'll be honest, I really didn't want to accept it, honestly. But the whole Kaepernick situation kind of opened up my eyes to it. But it's not even so much my eyes, so much in how, the NFL is and how, white people's reaction to it. What I've been very enamored with is our people's reaction to it. Because, I see a lot of black people, who, are definitely saying boycott the NFL. But they're pretty much saying, I'm hoping that he gets a job. But it's also looking like there's a lot of our own people that want him to get a job so they can feel better about watching football. Because I've heard so many people say, well, boycott the NFL until he gets a job. And I'm like, well, the system is still going to be the same.
Yeah.
I'm like, regardless of if he gets a job or not. And then, the kind of excuses that I'll hear, from some of our people, will also be like, well, I'm not going to watch it. I'll just watch every game that he plays. I'm like, well, if he's a backup, he's not going to really play at all.
No. I'm
like, well, why are you trying to make yourself feel better about watching something that, that you know is racist, or something that, I'm like, why do we have such loyalty to something that never gave us anything? The NFL has never written, about 99% of us, especially the ones who never played football, they've never written us any type of check. They've never done anything. I'm like, this is the same league that judges black quarterbacks and white quarterbacks on 2 totally different scales. This is the same league that pretty much, they don't even have, majority of them don't even have guaranteed contracts. So I'm saying, these guys are risking all this bodily harm, all this kind of stuff like that, knocking their heads, up against each other, and it's not, I don't understand the point of defending this. I'm like, really, football is that much important to you? I'm like, I don't understand the point of it. I don't understand the point that, some of the are always attached to these things that really don't have any type of meaning. And I'm like, well, it's bigger than Kaepernick, to be perfectly honest. Mm-hmm. And, it's just something that I've been noticing, and it's, very frustrating, the kind of excuses our own people sometimes make to try to just protect something that they think is, that they think is sacred, or something that they think that is part of their lives, and it really isn't.
Yeah. Thank you, Carla. I appreciate that. Yeah, I agree. I think we go out of our way to protect something that, it's integral. I watch football every Sunday. Well, you don't have to watch football every Sunday. You can read some books every Sunday. You can spend some time with your family every Sunday. You know, you could do a lot of stuff every Sunday that doesn't involve watching football. You could go play some football, flag football, don't tackle nobody. You know what I mean? But you could go and actually be active on Sunday. Like, there are a lot of things you could do on Sunday that don't involve football. So don't tell me that, like, I have to have this in my life, because when people start telling me I have to have this, it makes you sound like an addict. And then I'm questioning, like, whether you should have something to help you withdraw. Okay? Because there's nothing that has to happen. You know, and so I agree. I think people make all kinds of excuses for why they can't back away, or I grew up on it, or whatever. So, well, make no difference. What you mean? Me and my daddy grew up on the pigskin. I don't care, really, quite frankly. I just don't. I don't know. So for the next caller, I don't care about what you did or what you say you did. You probably lying anyway.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good. How's it going with you?
I'm doing pretty good. This is Melvin. I'm calling from Atlanta.
Hey, Melvin.
I was calling. I've been watching your show for a minute, and I'm glad I actually got in. I've been talking to people about this Colin Kaepernick situation for a while, and I actually had a conversation with two of my coworkers today, and I was like, are y'all going to watch if he doesn't get a job or any of that kind of stuff? Like, are you going to actually boycott watching the game? And they were like, well, I'm gonna watch. One guy was super torn. The other guy said, I'm not even gonna worry about it. I'm just gonna watch it anyway, because we gotta figure out what the end game is. And I was like, well, black people are never gonna be taken seriously if we don't ever show people that we can collectively do something.
Yeah.
And they said the only way we would be able to do it is with the actual players saying that they won't play.
Right.
Yeah. And I actually brought up, I said, Colin Kaepernick wouldn't be going through this situation if we had some sort of, like, black politics to pressure them and let them know that this didn't happen again.
Yep. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. You're absolutely right.
And I was just like, I said, why can't we collectively come together and say, this is not the behavior we want the owners to show to the rest of the world?
Yeah.
And, and he was like, well, you know, that's just what it is, you know? So and I was like, that's why they don't take us seriously. And they're going to keep doing this to people and making more examples of people that speak out against something that they don't want them to speak on.
Right. All right. So this is great. So we're going to do some politics now.
Okay.
So black people, you got to look at where you have power. You boycott where you got power. Organizing a boycott is intensely hard. Intensely hard. You do some reading on the Montgomery boycott, and it was like we couldn't do it today.
And it wasn't, everything wasn't global and interconnected back then, and it was hard.
And it was hard. It wasn't like, you look where you have power. In Montgomery, you had like a small market with like, we were a large percent of the people who used the bus, and we could control who else was using the bus. So like, we can't do that with football because they don't make that much money off of us watching the football. Like, white people will still watch football, and that's not where we have power. Where we have power is with players. So if we wanted to organize something, if this were me, I would organize that we target black players about why they're not standing with Kaepernick. If they were me, I would say, like, we need to look at the players. The players have a players association. A lot of the players are black. How come we're being so easy on the other black players not to stand up for Kaepernick? So I think that's where we have more power. We got to think of this strategically.
You know why we're easy on them, though?
Because black people trying to work a job?
Yeah, because we were thinking, we don't ever think as black people of what do we need as a community. We think of, well, what would I do in his situation? We don't think of what is good for the collective in terms of the black community. We think, well, if I was rich like him, I would want my check to keep coming too. That's all we think. And like, that's not good politics.
That's not good politics. We need to be pressure. We have pressure with black people. So we need to look at the black people we have pressure with and pressure them. And the black people we have pressure with are actually good football players.
Yeah.
So we should be going after. I mean, it's good to go after like Michael Vick or Cam. We should be going after Cam Newton. Let's make Cam Newton eat his words and come out for Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah.
Like, let's go after some black coaches. There are some black coaches in the league still too, right? So let's go after some black coaches and say, what do you say about this?
Well, like we said, 70% black players. You know,
70% black players.
They did it, but you know, you got to be ready for the worst, because Kaepernick is. I mean, Capital is so ruthless. Capital might just be like, I'm through with this. I'm gonna go find some Mexicans to play. I ain't. I'm investing in soccer. I don't care no more. Like that's just how ruthless capital is, and these people know they might lose it. But in terms of getting justice, you got to be willing to lose, and nobody's willing to lose. Everybody wants to be a millionaire.
Yeah, like a boycott won't work. We should advocate for a strike. How come these players aren't striking for Cap? How come these black players aren't striking for Cap? And where are our white allies who aren't pushing for a strike for Cap?
Yep, you're right.
And that's where I think we have power. So you look where you have power. We don't have power in a boycott because there are too many other customers who watch football. Like a lot of people watch black men hit each other. It's not just black people.
And who can afford it?
And who can afford those nice seats.
Like
we're not in those boxes.
No, there's a clip. There's a clip over there about how the Falcons are not doing single season tickets anymore. You need to buy more than one. We're not doing your little Negro. You buy one ticket, come to a game, feel good about yourself. We're not doing it more. So it's just like you being priced out to. The Atlanta Braves went to Cobb County, which is white. You know what I mean? They're like,
do black people even go to football games live?
Yeah, I got a cousin who like buys season pass.
Okay.
So
how much is that?
I don't know.
Is it like a car worth? Like
I don't know. I don't buy season.
Hey,
I don't know.
YouTube.
How much is a season pass to a football game?
YouTube. We don't know these things. How much is
some of y'all know?
Got 1,400 people. Someone's got to know. All right. Well,
how much is it?
How much are we talking about?
I don't know. Somebody said about 1,200.
About 1,200. All right, that's a chunk of change.
Somebody said 2,000.
And so we got Negroes putting down $1,200 for 16 games.
Yeah.
All right. Well, okay. I think the best place we have juice.
The cheap seats.
I think the place we have juice is by pressuring the players, targeting players and pressuring players, because they have a players association. 70% of the league is black.
Somebody said 600. I don't know. I just know that people buy it. I don't know.
And our people buy it.
Yep.
All right.
Somebody said 1,200.
All right. So it looks like it's about there.
So that's my money. I'm gonna pay. Somebody said nosebleeds. 8 games for 1,200 or cheap seats. Okay, well that's probably what we got.
We're not in the boxes.
We ain't on the 50-yard line down bottom.
All right, hello, you're on. Hello?
Hello?
Okay.
Hello?
Hello?
Hey, what's up, Yvette? What's up, Irony?
What's going on?
It's Nate from Detroit.
Hey!
Hey, listen, football is the perfect example of our position here in the country. You got, generally the quarterback is white. He throws the ball to the good Negro, and he tries to make it to freedom. But he gets tackled. And then when he finally gets to freedom, he's brain damaged. The biggest problem we've got in our community is that we don't want to accept the fact that how many coons we have that's leading us up right now. And that's just the truth. I'm sorry if it's harsh, but it's the amount, the cooning is so big right now, it's almost unbelievable.
That is true.
But how did I want to end this off? I wanted to end it by saying that we all remember when they were talking about college football and how the coaches were making like $4 million, $2 million for the coaches, and they didn't want to give any kind of benefit. The coaches would come out and say, we don't pay these students to make us money. What is that? Isn't that called slavery?
Yeah,
but because it's an educational institution, it's supposed to be okay, and they felt so comfortable. This is what I want to say. I'm not talking about all white people. I'm not talking about individuals. I'm talking about as a collective. You cannot trust anything white people say without checking it. That's just the period. Bottom line, I don't care if it's the hurt feeling that people are going to have. That's just the truth.
Yeah.
They don't have our best interests at heart. They never have. White people ain't never gave us anything. Our position in this country has always been for their benefit. It has never been for ours. Well, everything they give us isn't anything that we don't already own in the first place. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, Carl. I appreciate that. I think. Let's be honest about these guys getting a free education. Most of these guys ain't getting no education.
Right.
Like, you get a few of them that went to Harvard and stuff, but most of these guys ain't getting no education. Let's be real.
They're there to play football.
They're there to play football, and they gonna pass however they gotta pass to play football, and they coaches and stuff gonna make sure of it. You're not educating these men. And first of all, during the season, you work in preseason, you work them out too hard for them to get an education. They're dead dog tired by the time they get home. Sometimes y'all do twice a day workouts and stuff. Stop telling me these black boys are getting education. Stop lying to me. You working too hard, and you working them too hard for them to get any kind of education. Come on, give me a break with that education crap.
I got a question though. So the Coonan he was talking about, that is all these black athletes like going overly respectable to get their ad dollars. And I think it's what it is. I think it's the ad dollars. They want their Nike endorsements. They want the Coca-Cola endorsement. You know, Cam Newton got his teeth fixed. He's got to make it work for them.
Teeth fixed.
That's some beautiful teeth that man has.
Beautiful teeth.
So why do we accept it again?
Because we want it.
We want it.
I think we accept it because we want it. Black people don't dream of being stable. We dream of being multimillionaires.
No, but why do we accept it from them? They could actually do a step and fetch it routine, and we'd be like, well, I guess he's just trying to make his money.
Yeah, they can do whatever they want to do. We don't care as long as somebody has money. As long as even if they don't have it, we perceive them as having money. We don't care. We don't care what you do, because in our minds, well, if I was that rich, I would do it too. Well, you crazy as hell too.
You would sell out your people.
Yes.
Okay.
They would. And it's just like they thinking like, if I was in his position, if I was in his shoes, what would I do? I would do it too. I understand what Cam's coming from. And you don't understand the perspective that you have should be your perspective.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be standing in anybody's shoes, because nobody ever stands in your shoes. Nobody ever stands in a black person's shoes, but you always trying to, or a poor black person, or a middle class, or lower middle class, but you always trying to stand in a millionaire's shoes talking about what you would do. And you ain't been close enough to a millionaire to know what you would do anyway.
So we have the same problem with Cam Newton that we had with Barack Obama, and that we have with Oprah Winfrey. Well, you have to understand what it's like to be them. No! I don't understand. I don't have to understand. Exactly.
I ain't got to understand shit.
I just have to understand my pain and how they're selling me out.
Yeah, and how that affects me right now. Not the person I imagine myself to be. See, black people get too caught up in our imaginations. Well, if I was this and if I was that, that's not what you are. No. You are a regular person, and you have regular person needs, and your discussion and everything that you do should be based on regular people. How do I benefit? How does this hurt me? Don't think about if I was this person. You're never gonna be Cam Newton.
All right, so we'll do some role playing. Well, you know, we have to give Obama leeway, because it's very hard to get a bill through Congress. I just understand. And then you say,
that's not my problem.
All right, so we'll do this again. You have to give Oprah some leeway, because it's very hard to get a syndicated show on television for so long. So it's okay that she tells people that dream boards are the answer.
That's not my problem. She's doing something that's detrimental to me and my people. I don't care about her and what her problems is.
So it's okay. I have to tell you now, Yvette, it's okay that Cam Newton does what he does, because he has to worry about his check from Coca-Cola, and he has to worry about his endorsement deal. So I understand what Cam Newton's doing.
So nothing on Cam Newton's plate fall in my mouth. There is nothing on Cam Newton's plate. I don't know what Cam Newton's eating right now, but if he's eating lobster, it don't fall in my mouth.
All right. So Charlemagne the God is telling people that they just have to change their mindset. And I understand why Charlemagne's doing that. Clear Channel or whoever owns the Breakfast Club is telling you that this is the message you have to send. So we should give Charlemagne a break, because he's just trying to earn his dough. He's not, like,
I don't care about his dough. Like, why do you care about his dough? I don't care about Charlemagne's dough.
He's doing damage to our people.
He's doing damage to the black community. He's doing damage to black power. I don't care about his dough. I don't care about him. Like, what's wrong with us? Like, we care about, well, Charlemagne trying to get his money. Is that everything?
That's not my problem.
And it's not my money. That's his money. I'm talking about what we do as a collective. That's his money. He ain't buying you nothing. He won't even buy you a drink if you saw him out. Give me a break. I ain't studying that man. Better get away from me. With all that Charlemagne stuff. Black privilege. Oh, don't get me started. Let's take the last one.
I think that's good. But listen to Yvette's responses. They're all the same to all these people who we're supposed to empathize with as they sell us out.
Stop worrying about the individual and worry about the community. Again, stop worrying about the individual and start worrying about the community. What is best for the African American descendant of slave community, not the individual. The individual doesn't matter. And if you look through our struggles, whether it was sharecroppers trying to unionize or the civil rights movement, whatever, it's come through collective act. It has never come through an individual. So stop looking to individuals to solve your problems. They never will. They won't. And most of the time, they sell out.
And we shouldn't be endorsing them sell out. We shouldn't be endorsing that. There's never an excuse. There's never an excuse.
There's never an excuse to sell me out. Get away from me. You and your cigar. Care about your cigar. One more. We can take the last one.
We can take the last one.
Hello.
Something's going on with you. Okay, I can hear you now.
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, great. How you doing? My name is Ron. I'm coming from Texas.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, please. Oh, not too bad. Listen, you guys have a great program, and hopefully some people is listening to you guys on a consistent basis. Become more conscious. Here's the thing about Colin about Kaepernick. This guy right now, I want to actually the blackest man with the biggest lips and the broader nose in the NFL to be the one that took the knee against the American anthem. But it had to be, the light-skinned guy, biracial or whatever. And that was a disappointment to me, okay?
Okay.
So, it is what it is. Now, here's what happens. The NFL, we have to let it go. Boxing, we have to let it go. None of these organizations have anything, good interest in mind for black people. All they want to do is basically keep you as a consumer, and as long as you keep consuming their garbage, you will always be in a ring. So it's a whole lot of organizations that we partake in as black people, and they don't have nothing for us. All right? Okay. I just want to make that point, real quick and clear. But this is the point I want to talk to you guys about real quick. I need you guys to do me a favor. Talk to me, or please set up a program about the education of black children. All right? And this is what I'm talking about specifically. My daughter was a teacher, and she said that she was in elementary school, and she said that the education was already skewed for black children at a very early age. We lose our black boys when they get to middle school. Okay, that's what we're losing our sons. They start smoking weed, they listen to that garbage from the rapper, and they think they are a rapper because they are so young in mind, and they don't understand what they are against. And we as a family, we have that problem too. I mean, Frederick Douglass supposedly convinced Abraham Lincoln to free the slaves because it was a good financial move. If you free them from the South, they will come to the North, and we also get cheap labor. Supposedly that was one of the arguments that we use. Why can't we use the same argument with the Department of Education and say, hey, look, start petition. We want control of our schools. And the reason why we want control of our schools is because if we have control of our schools, then we could actually minimize the rate of black men, young black men that go to jail. Now,
very good.
You have to be,
Thank you, Carla. I appreciate that. Like, what'd you say, Army?
No, he's right. Like, we need to get in the curriculum game. We need in our black agenda, we need to talk about, you're going to read these books. And this is when you're going to read them. Because we lose black boys in school because we don't teach to their pain. We don't, we got these white teachers who are scared to talk about, if you go, there's a study coming up, I guess we'll have to do a show about this because I want to talk about this study that says if you tell black kids that the world is fair, as soon as they realize that it's not.
Yeah, I put that in the newsletter, yeah.
As soon as they realize
if y'all got the newsletter, you got that article.
As soon as they realize it's not, they start blaming themselves.
Yep.
And then they start making bad decisions.
And they destruct in middle school.
Yeah.
This is what happens.
So we need a curriculum that's not alienated from their real life. A curriculum that's designed by people like us, and this is what we should fight for. This is as important as anything else. Because if we get this curriculum right, then we will get people who are more conscious when they're 17, 18. And the dropout rates will go up. Will go down. Because people won't be alienated from the curriculum. Because right now you're just learning a lot of stuff that isn't about you. I know a lot of math. And
it's a lie. So much of it's a lie.
It's a lie. And it's honestly, I know a lot of technical stuff that I just didn't need to learn. I needed to learn about Robert F. Williams, Negroes with Guns. I needed to learn about Freddie Hampton. Like, that would actually improve the quality of my life, and that would actually help me get money in my people's pockets right now.
Yeah, I wish I'd learned about Ida B. Wells sooner. Like,
Sooner.
Like all the stuff, though.
Right.
Not just like she wrote about stuff
No.
that happened to black people. Like, all the stuff. That would have helped me so
I know a lot of physics. I know about the right-hand rule, and like, I know a lot of things I don't need to know. I need to know the stuff that will help me advocate for my people.
I agree.
So, like, we need curriculum control.
I agree.
And to be advocating for that. And honestly, we not only need us to be reading Robert F. Williams, we need white people to be reading that too.
Yep, that's true. That's
That's
true.
true. All right.
I appreciate that, brother. That brother sound like an ally to me. I appreciate that. So everybody, I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. Somebody said I failed physics bad. And like I said, you can go to breakingbrown.com and you can donate monthly. You can donate weekly. You can go to donatebrown.com and donate. You can also go to breakingbrown.com and donate to the newsletter. It's $2 a month, 50 cents. And also, if you haven't received the newsletter, make sure you check your. I'm still working out the couple people who said so much to me, so much for me to do. So, but also, if you get the newsletter, you subscribe to it, make sure you put editor@breakingbrown.com in your contacts folder and check your promotions folder. A couple of you have said, I still didn't get it, but I'm working on that. Don't think I forgot. And take care of that. And go to subscribe-to-brown.com as well, so you can subscribe. And I'll just have your email just in case, a lot of people getting booted off the YouTube and off, all kind of stuff.
It could happen to us.
So if something happens, I need your email or we just won't talk no more. And subscribe and hit the notifications, and I will see you all soon. Oh, before I forget, September the 11th, I will be in Louisville for the Angela Project. Simmons College, all that good stuff. Stevens Church, all that good stuff.
Drive over.
So if you're in Louisville, catch me September the 11th. I'll be there, and I'll update you with other stuff later on. But love y'all, and I will see you next time. Hey, everybody, we didn't get